All right, so the supplies that you're gonna need to make this project is, first of all, some 4mm cord. This is just twisted cord, and you need to cut it into 16 10-foot pieces. Now, when I cut my cord, I usually measure in arm lengths, and 2 full arm spans for me is exactly 10 feet, so it works out nicely. So you need, again, 16 10-foot pieces. So we have that. And then you need some mini dowels. These are 3/16 of an inch in width. They're pretty small, and there are 4 of them. I use 4 of them, and they are cut into 12-inch pieces. You can buy these at the craft store already cut in a standard size of 12 inches, or you can go to a hardware store and you can get a dowel and cut it yourself. I just cut it with like something I would use in my garden to snip branches, and it works perfectly. So I need 4 of those. I need 1 larger dowel, or you can use a piece of driftwood. Again, this is, I think mine is actually about 13 inches. If you just want to buy a standard size in 12 inches, that would probably work just fine. If you're going to cut it, I would cut it a little bit longer than 12 inches. And then you need some kind of cord for your pink hearts. So I just use a single strand pink cord that I will cut later, and I'll cut this into 2-inch sections and probably about 32-inch sections for each heart. Now you can choose to not do the fluffiness. I'll talk about this later in the video. You can choose to do like a weave if you'd like, and I'd love to see if somebody could do that. Show me what a weave would look like. I'm not a very good weaver, but I would love to see a weave. So you need, again, about 62-inch pieces here. So 120 inches, 10 feet of a single strand or something soft. Really, it's up to you what you want to use for that. So those are your supplies that you're going to need for the project, and then of course some scissors, and I do use some glue at the end. Usually the glue that I use is Fabric Fusion, and I'll just use this at the end after I snip my mini dowels. Then I glue the end so that the cord doesn't slip off. You could use super glue, you could use hot glue, but this is usually what I use. All right, so let's get started here. I'm gonna take 2 of my 4mm cords, each cut to 10 feet, and I'm gonna make sure that they are folded in half. And you can choose to attach these using a lark's head like you would normally start a project. But for this project, I decided to just fold it over the top, and I'm just gonna start in the middle to balance out my project. So I'm starting like this, and I'm just gonna grab the back left one and the front right one, and I'm gonna start tying some half square knots. So I'm gonna do my 4 on the left-hand side, my right one over the top, behind. So we're gonna make a spiral here facing, spiraling to the left. So I'm gonna make 8 of those. So again, make the 4, and your right one goes over your left one, behind, and pull them through. Make sure when you do this, you keep these 2 middle ones pulled tightly. So that's 2 half square knots. I'm always starting with my one on the left-hand side. That's 3. And I'm gonna keep going. That's 4. You can see it starting to twist here. And 5. And 6. 7. And 8. All right, so you can see that this is kind of facing the front, so it's going to be flat when I attach my next dowel. So that's my first set. I'm going to do 8 of these sets. Again, grabbing another 2 cords, folding it in half, wrapping it over the top, making sure that I have it even at the bottom, and then I'm going to go ahead and I'm gonna make 2 half square knots. So I grab the back one on the left and the front one on the right. I'm sorry, I think I might have said 2, but I meant 8. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, and I'm going to slide those a little bit closer together, and I'm just going to keep going there. All right, so I'm going to zip through these next couple. Again, we need 8 all together, and so I'm taking my 2. This is my first tutorial, so if it's not perfect, forgive me. We'll see. Hopefully I'll get better as I make more of these. And I was going to try to make it all professional looking with some nice lighting and get a nice setup going, but this is just how I work. So here we go. I'm at 3. Again, I'm counting as I'm going. I need 8 altogether. And as you can see as I'm working here, I just have my piece attached to this mirror that I have in my front hall with these hooks on it, and this is where I always do my work, and I like attaching it here versus like a clothing rack because I can wrap my hanging cord around and it doesn't slip, which makes it much easier to keep my work straight and neat. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, one more, and that's 8. And I'm going to pause the video here, but I'm going to finish out 4 more of these so that I have 8 total. All right, so I have my 8 sections attached with my half square knots to make the spiral. And now I'm going to make the horizontal double half hitch going across. Now, if you have not used a wood dowel as your filler, this is a good trick to keep your work nice and neat and keep that line nice and straight. So this is where I'm using that 3/16 inch dowel. If you don't have 3/16, really, you know what might work? Haven't done it, but a wood skewer could probably work just as well. So I'm gonna take this, and this is gonna be like my filler cord. And then all of these cords here are gonna be my working cords. I like to start at the left and work towards the right. So I'm gonna start by holding this in front of my work, and I take this and I fold it over and then pull through. And just getting the first couple in is the hardest part because you wanna make sure you get it in a good spot. So there's over once, and each cord you're going to do twice. So I'm just going to make sure I have that nice and tight. And it's okay if you have a little hanging off the edge here. We're going to clip that at the end. So there's one double half hitch. So my second one, I'm going to kind of fold over, go through that loop, and then do it again. Each cord you're going to do that to twice. All right, so there's two, and I'm just going to work my way across from left to right. Make sure you don't miss a cord because it is easy to miss. Again, each cord you're wrapping twice, and I love this trick with the dowel because it gives you such a neat horizontal line. All right, so there's my first bunch, and you're just going to keep working right across. And if you feel that you need to slide these pieces closer together because you're getting a gap, mine are each about maybe an inch apart from center to center, maybe an inch and a quarter, somewhere around there. Once you get a couple done, then this dowel kind of just holds itself in place and you can just keep working. Now you do want to be sure that you're not accidentally having it slant in one direction, but for the most part, this method is foolproof. All right, so I'm just going to continue working across. Alright, so I've made my double half hitches all the way across, and I do have some extra hanging off on each end from this dowel, but we're going to leave that for now, and at the end we'll just snip those ends and we'll use some of our glue to glue those together. Now if you feel like it's a little crooked, you can always squeeze those together and just make sure that you have everything straightened out. So our next step is going to be to make our row of X's and O's. So when we make our row of X's and O's, we're going to divide these cords into 4 sections because we're going to have XO, XO, and so each section will have 8 cords, 2, 4, 6, 8. This is what I'm going to use for my X. Then I'm going to use 8 for an O, 8 for an X, 8 for an O. So the rest of these I'm just going to kind of drape over to the side so that I'm just focusing on these 8 for now. All right, so of the 8 cords that you have, 2, 4, 6, 8, I'm going to start with the 8th one. And with the 8th cord, I am going to make a double half hitch knot going to the left. So this is my filler cord, and I'm just going to do 3 double half hitch to the left, 1, 1, and make sure you keep your filler cord pulled tight. This is the 8th cord. I'm keeping that in my left hand as I'm guiding it to the left, and I'm wrapping the other ones around that cord. This is my 2nd double half hitch, and all right, sorry about that, my video cut out for a minute, but I have my 3rd double half hitch made. And so now I'm going to go to the first cord on the left, and I'm going to use that as a filler cord working towards the right. And so I'm going to start with 3 double half hitches going to the right. So there's my first one. Here's my second one. And my third one. Now I want this to continue to make the second part of my X, so I'm going to continue with this filler cord and tie double half hitches with all 4 of these cords. So this was my filler cord from my first one. I'm going to keep working towards the right. So then to complete the X, after I've done that, so notice with this filler cord I tied 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 double half hitches working from left to right. Now I need to continue the X this way, so I'm going to go back and I'm going to get that filler cord. That would be the 4th one from the left, and I'm going to continue working with that filler cord to the left and tie with these 3 cords. All right, so there's my X. That's how I make an X. And next I'm going to show you how to make the O. All right, so to make the O, I brought down the next 8 cords, 2, 4, 6, 8. And I'm going to start by working with the middle 4. So I have 2 on the left that I'm not using and 2 on the right. And then I have these middle 4. And I'm actually going to drop the middle 2. So I'm just working with the 3rd cord and the 6th cord. So I'm going to cross those 2 over each other, and this is going to make the top of the O. So I'm grabbing the cord on the left and I'm going to wrap it around both of those 2 cords that are crossed and pull it through. I'm not necessarily tying a double half hitch here, I'm just kind of wrapping it, and I'm going to do that twice. So I'm going to pull it through again, and so that is wrapped twice. I'm going to pull these a little bit tighter and get that pulled tighter, and then I'm going to go ahead, so you can see that left one is wrapped twice, and now that cord in the middle there, I'm going to do that again. I'm going to wrap it towards the center once and twice. Okay, so you should have 4 cords wrapped around these 2 cords. So if I pull these tight, and then I can kind of fidget with these and get them looking good up there for the top of my O. Okay, so that's how we make that flat top up there. Now I'm going to go ahead and make the left side. So I'm going to use this cord as my filler cord and tie these 2 double half hitch, working towards the left. There's 1 and 2. Notice right now I'm holding my filler cord in my left hand and working toward the left. Now when I want to do the bottom part of the O, I want this to come back in, so I'm going to switch and I'm going to hold my filler cord towards the right, and I'm going to use those same 2 cords that I just tied, and I'm going to tie 2 more double half hitch. So 1 and 2. All right, now I'm going to the other side of the O, and I'm going to work with this one to the right, and these 2 are going to be my tying cords to make 2 double half hitch working towards the right for the top right side of the O. All right, now I'm gonna switch, and this one's gonna go to the left. All right. So now I'm back to these two cords that I tied around to the center to start the top of the O. I'm gonna do the same thing at the bottom. So my two filler cords, I'm gonna cross in the middle, and then I'm gonna take my left cord that's dangling down, I'm gonna wrap it around those two cords 2 times, and then I like to pull it a little bit tighter here, get everything looking fairly decent. I can even slide this up into place, and then I'm gonna do the right one, wrap it once, I'm wrapping it towards the center, and then twice. And then these two you can pull tight and tighten these. All right, so we're gonna secure this into place when we get our next dowel that we're gonna put underneath here. So it may not look perfect yet, but hopefully once we get our dowel in there, then it's gonna look all good. So there's my X and my O. Now you're gonna go ahead and with the next 8, you're gonna make an X, and then your next 8, you're gonna make an O. All right, so I've gone ahead and I made my second X and my second O, and our next step is going to be to add our next filler dowel. So the same way that we did this top one, I'm just gonna take another one of my dowels, and I'm gonna go ahead and put it along here underneath the X and the O. So I'll get that started, holding it in front of my work, starting with the cord on the left. I'm gonna wrap it around and pull it through. Same way I did the top one. We'll just get it started here. Oop. And then we're just gonna make that whole horizontal row. We do this 4 times in the video, so I don't think you need to watch me do every single one. But here we go. And so my next step after this is going to be to start making the hearts. So I'm gonna finish this up and then I'll be back to show you how to make the hearts. I finished that next row of double half hitch with my dowel, so I'm ready to make my 2 hearts in this section. So right now I'm going to split my cords into in half basically. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16 cords on each side. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16. So I'm going to use 16 cords to make 1 heart, and then even from there I'm going to split that in half. I'm going to start out the top of my heart the same way that I started the top of my circle. So I'm going to take the 8 cords on the left, and I'm working with these. I'm going to take the center 4, this is just like we started the O, and then I'm going to split this. So I'm folding these. This is cords 3 and 6. I have folded over the top of each other, and then I'm going to take the one on the left that's in between, and I'm going to wrap it twice around, and then tighten it up a little bit, and do the same thing with the right one in the center. Wrap it twice around towards the center, and tighten those up. All right, so this is the top left part of my left heart. So I'm gonna go ahead and make the rest of the top left. I'm gonna use this filler cord and tie 2 double half hitch to the left, slanting down. And then that other filler cord, I'm gonna tie 2 double half hitch to the right, slanting down. All right, now I'm gonna do the same thing over here. I'm gonna take the middle 4 cords, I'm gonna cross these 2 over each other. That one on the left in the center, I'm gonna wrap twice around towards the center. I tighten that up a little bit. All right, and then I'm gonna do it with the right one. All right, so I've got those 2 hanging down. I'm gonna tighten those. And then I'm gonna tie this one going to the left. Double half hitch with these 2 cords. And then double half hitch to the right with these 2. Right, now I'm gonna take, so I have my 2 filler cords. I'm gonna do right over left here to join the center of the heart. And pull those a little bit tighter together. Okay. All right, so now I've gotta get my heart to come back in like this. I'm gonna start on my left side, but this filler cord is gonna work towards the right. And what I do here, so these 3 cords, I'm gonna kind of pull over to the left, and I'm gonna start with this one. So I have my filler cord, then 3 cords, and I have the 4th cord on the right there. So then I'm going to weave this. I'm gonna go over, under, over, pull it, and then tie my double half hitch. So that's 1, 2. Okay, so I have these 3 cords. This time I'm gonna go under, over, under, and go ahead and tie. All right, this one, I'm gonna go over, under, over, pulling it tight, and tie. All right, my next one is the one that was a filler cord before, but now I'm gonna go, what am I gonna do? Over, nope, sorry. Under, over, under, pull it tight. Okay, so we kind of want to cinch this a little bit closer together here. All right, so that's what I have so far. And let's see. Now I'm gonna start on this side. All right, working on the right side, I'm gonna start with the 4th cord in 1, 2, 3, 4, and on this cord I'm gonna go under, over, under, weaving it to the right, and then tie a double half hitch with my filler cord. Then I'm going to the next cord. I'm gonna go over, under, over, and tie my double half hitch. All right, for the next one, under, over, under. Now, as I said at the beginning of the video, you can do something different with the middle of these hearts if you'd like. So if you choose not to do this weaving pattern in here, I think it would look cool if you did just kept the cords straight, didn't weave them in and out, and you could try to do a macro weave. I would like to see that. I'm not very good at macro weave, so if you do that, please share. All right, now I'm gonna pick up with this cord and I'm gonna go under, over, under. So this one is going the full length. All right, next one, over, under, over. Again, keeping these straight, pulling them tight, one more, under, over, under. And then I just need to go back to my left side, grab that filler cord. I'm gonna make sure these are all pulled straight and finish off that side. And then I'm gonna do one more double half hitch using the filler cord from the right side. And there is my heart. Then using the other 16 cords, you're gonna make another heart just like that. Your next step after you've made your 2 hearts here, and notice on my second heart, I finished off with this filler cord tying over the top of that one just so they're facing towards each other, but it doesn't really matter because in the end they will probably not be visible anyway, but that's what I did there. So then I'm going to take my next dowel and I'm going to make another horizontal row of double half hitch. Then I'm going to do another row of XOXO with my final double half hitch. So if you need to back up the video and go and watch this part again, I'm going to do all 3 of these steps next. Row of double half hitch, XOXO, row of double half hitch. All right, so you can see that I finished my next row of double half hitch, then I did another XOXO, and then my 4th row of double half hitch, so I've used all 4 dowels. And if you didn't get this part done, again, you can go back in the video and watch how I did it up here on this row. So I have the bulk of my stuff done. I'm gonna first show you how I finish off the ends, just using barrel knots, and then I'll go back up and show you how I do the fuzzy part in the hearts. So you notice that these are all different lengths here. So I'm gonna start with the shortest ones, and these ones I'm going to tie some barrel knots. So for my barrel knots, I start with just a loop. I'm left-handed, so I loop like this. And then I'm going to wrap it around this part, wrap this end around this part. I like to do 4 times. So 1, 2, 3, and one more time, 4. And then you just pull it. I'm gonna slide it down. So there's 1. I'm gonna do that to all of my cords, and I want all of them to finish probably within 6 inches of each other, but they're gonna be scattered, and I like that scattered look. So again, just pull them. I'm doing my shortest ones first just to see how high they land, and then I'll do my other ones, my longer ones. Now, some of my longer ones are very long, so I won't keep them quite at that full length. But this is really up to you, however high or low you want them to be. So you're gonna have to do this for all 32 cords. Of course, you can finish this off a different way if you choose. Sun's starting to shine in on me here. All right, so I'm gonna continue with this and I'll show you what it looks like in a few minutes. And then I'll show you how I do the pink part. Once you've tied your 32 barrel knots across the bottom, now again, I wanted mine at varying heights. If you want yours all at the same height, that's totally up to you, but then I just go through and I leave about 3 or 4 inches, and I'm just gonna trim them all with 3 or 4 inches hanging down, and then I'm gonna go back through and comb them all out. And I kind of like the look that it gives when they're all uneven lengths. I think it looks cute, but you can do whatever you want down here at that end. So I'm just gonna finish up that part. All right, so you can see I've already started on attaching these pink pieces into the grid that I made in the heart. So what I'm doing here is I'm actually using this Latch Hook tool, and I'm gonna go ahead and I just find a piece. I'm gonna try to fit as many as I can. This Latch Hook tool, I used to do Latch Hook all the time when I was a kid. You slide it through so that little thing is sticking up. You have your cord wrapped around. You're just making lark's head knots basically, and then you pull it through. And I'm just attaching as many as I can, as I said, to make it nice and full. Probably end up with about 30 in here, 30 in each of them. And my cords here are each about, I think I said at the beginning, 2 inches, but they're closer to 3, and I wasn't very accurate when I was cutting, so some of them are actually even closer to 4, which is a little bit too long because it makes it hard to pull these through. So if you don't have one of these handy little tools, you can just attach them with lark's head, even if you used a needle or something like that. However you wanted to get them on there, be creative. And I'm just gonna keep going and fill in as much of this space as I can. Oh, this one's stuck. Let's try that again. With these pink threads. These are too long, obviously, so once I get the space all filled in, then I'm gonna have to go back and do some trimming. I'll show you a couple more, and then I'll come back when I have this space filled in, and I'll show you how I trim them. This tool is super handy. You could probably get it at a craft store. Super handy for filling in something like this. And there we go. All right, so I'm just gonna keep working on that. I've gone through and I've attached all my pink cords here, and you can see they're pretty long and crazy. I'm just gonna quickly comb through them and get the underneath. And then I just need to give this a haircut. Now I've got a short one up here. All right, so they're gonna need some significant trimming. I'm gonna take my scissors. Just grab those. All right, so I'm gonna take my scissors and I'm gonna try to hold this up don't really have a great method to do this, but I don't want it to be too long. I'm just going to start with an initial cut here. I'm left-handed, so my instinct is to use my left hand, but my scissors are right-handed. So let's see. Oh, missed a couple there. Okay. Go. I feel like that's still maybe a little bit long. Might want to trim that a little bit more, but looks pretty good. All right, so I'm just gonna clean that one up a little. Go. It's full and fuzzy. You can fluff it out a little bit if you'd like. And if you like the look of that hatched look that we did, you can just leave it and not fill in any pink there. There we go. All right, so I'm gonna leave that one be. Maybe come back and do some trimming after I get my second one done. But I got a nice fluffy heart in there. Okay, and then you're going to go ahead and do your second heart the same way you did the first one, and then we'll come back and do some finishing touches. So to finish this off, I'm just going to take these, this is like garden nippers, I guess, that I have, and I just trim the end of these dowels real quick, and then after I do that, I can go through with my glue and glue them so that you can't see that these are dowels. All right, then I'm going to do the other side quickly. And once I have done that, then I usually go through with this glue. This is the Fabric Fusion. And I just put a dab at the end of each of these so that the cords don't slip off the ends. And then that's our finished piece. So when you finish, I'd love to see it. If you could tag me if you post it at Macrame by Mindy, I would love to see it. Good luck, and let me know if you have questions.